So, what is burgeoning? Burgeoning is defined as rapid and increasing growth. Short word for it is flourishing. It is often difficult that we really sit with our burgeoning or sit in reflection with our burgeoning. Sometimes it's just like, oh, well, that was just life, and I went through it, and now I'm here. And there's more to that. We all have our own stories. We all have points in which God has truly blessed us with a point of growth. A point of growth that has affected the world around us and that we've had to learn from, that we're still learning from. And that is what burgeoning is all about. That is what this podcast is all about. To take a moment and truly reflect on those moments of growth that are undeniably life-changing. Welcome to Burgeoning Podcast. I'm your host, Leah J. So, I wanted to start this podcast in a really beautiful way. I can't fully start the telling of my story without first dedicating this podcast to God, my Father, Abba, to Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, who loves me so much and who's taught me so much about love. I set out on a journey to find God. I'll skip to the end of the story and tell you I met him. I met him in sunrises and in sunsets. I met him in empty bank accounts and ones that had lemons they'd never seen before. I met him in laughter and in sorrow. I met him in teary eyes and smiling lips. I met him in mountains overlooking valleys, on beaches with water so deep. I met him in cityscapes and in deserts. I met him in darkness and in light. I met him everywhere. Everywhere I looked around, he was there. The most peculiar place I never guessed I'd meet him was inside of me. Broken, discouraged, fearful, doubtful, imperfect me. He dwelled in me, all along supplying me my strength when I was weak, giving me courage in my fear, holding the pieces of my brokenness to craft something new from the rubble. He spoke to me, saying, "You looked for me, but I never left you. It was you hiding all along. I've been before you, waiting for you to come to me so that you can learn to love the beauty of your life." And so I came. I came from out the shadows and I allowed God to be God. This is how my burgeoning began, with imperfection and a God that loves me. I pray you'll be lifted by these words and that they will supply fruit for your overflow, extra, just a little sprinkle on top. That's it. Just a little sprinkle. But it's so real that God uses the most broken of us, the hardest of times, the times where we didn't see anything but down and we couldn't go anywhere but up. He uses those moments to really pull us out. And being real, being honest, because that's what I'm doing here. I'm being real, I'm being honest. I didn't think that God would make something out of my life. I saw everything around me. I saw how things were going, and I would pray and I would be like, you really set my life up to be nothing. That's how I once felt. Like God really brought me through so much just to leave me. But that wasn't God. That's not what He wanted for me. He gave me my story. He gave me my beginnings so that I could possibly come before you and have this platform, reach out to people so that they could share their stories. But in my time of burgeoning, there was a lot of tears. And in those tears, birthed some beautiful smiles. God will never leave us. He will never forsake us. He is always there. And when we truly wait on God, He will use us to continue to provide beauty to this world. And those stories, those dark places, those valleys, those low moments, those were also so beautiful. It taught me so much about myself. It taught me to be someone that I like. It taught me who I did not want to be. And I am proud of who I am now as my story is being written in that place that I've been delivered from. I have learned so much about this woman that I am, that regression is so scary. It's scarier than when I was stuck, when I was being stagnant, when I was broken. It's scarier than not knowing what being better looked like. So my story comes with a little depression. It comes with some failures. It comes with a lot of disappointment. But whose doesn't? What good story doesn't have a downfall? If we're constantly on the way up and we never hit a valley, how will we know what to look at when we look down? Like, how will we know what to identify when we look down? When I was preparing for this podcast and to do it, first of all, I ran from God. I was like, God, I already done tried this podcast thing. I ain't really trying to do this again. Like, truly, you must have something different for me. It can't just be this, right? First of all, it was the vision just wouldn't go away. So I was like, okay, might as well pick up a mic, might as well figure out some stuff, whatever. So as I'm getting myself together, taking my time with it, I started to really learn new things about trees. And I came into this knowledge that in the fall, when trees lose all of their leaves, that's when they're the strongest. I'm like, dang, I really have been stripped of everything that used to be me. So, because we're getting to know each other, I celebrated 1 year sober, and being a smoker, being a smoker used to be my thing. Like that was who I was. Like, I'm glad that my identity has transformed into something totally different. And now I'm just Leah J, the host of today. I'm Leah J, the host of Burgeoning. I wear many of hats, and I'm really proud of all the hats that I wear. But I started to realize, like, okay, I stopped smoking. I stopped drinking. I also celebrated 1 year of sobriety. God took away so many relationships from me. God took away my job. God took away the career that I was chasing. God took away what I felt like was independence. It was all just stripped away from me. And I was like, well, Lord, I am low and I'm naked at this point. I'm stripped of everything. And in this season of being so low and being so stripped like the trees, right? I found so much strength. I found so much strength. I found so much strength. And I understand that in those times where I thought I was really, really strong, it was God that was carrying me. But He used this season of stripping me of everything that I used to identify as, of everything that I used to claim. He gave me a new name. He gave me a new name. And we see that in the Bible. When Jesus' disciples come to Him, He often gave them a new name. I love the story of Saul. Saul turned Paul, the killer of the Christians, turned into one of the best apostles, disciples. Like, he literally got books on books. he literally changed. God used him. God used Saul for so much to glorify Him. And that story is so beautiful because it's like, it doesn't matter who you was, you can quickly become who God needs you to be. And He gonna work on you, and He gonna take things, and He gonna change things. He's gonna change the things around you, the people around you. And I don't know, I'm just so encouraged by that, because like the trees, when you are stripped away of all those things, you have nothing else. You have no choice else but to either stay there, weak and broken, or strengthen yourself up. The trees, they said, babes, I'm gonna take this time. I'm gonna get my water to these roots, get these roots healthy, because things will come back. The leaves will come back. People will return. New people will come. We will flourish again. But in the times that we need to be stripped, we have to be stripped, and we have to be willing to be stripped. We have to be willing to be made new. You can't have a burgeoning without being willing to be made new. You can't go into new seasons when you're still holding on to the old ones. You have to be willing to be stripped of those leaves, to say, I'm going to get my roots stronger for this season, because I can't hold on to that anymore. I need this time to rejuvenate. I need this time to come back and flourish again. And in all of that, there's so much beauty. There's so much beauty in all of that. I love riding through the countryside on in autumn. And then when winter hits, it's like, dang, the trees are bare. But even when they're looking a little boneless, even when the trees are a little boneless, you can see the woods, you can see the vastness, you can see the skies, and you can really, really see what nature is when that season of hibernation, that season of staying still, you can see that stillness, and it's beautiful, because you know that spring is coming. You know that moment that everything is changing, everything will begin to change. That moment of rebirth is coming. And it is so beautiful. It's so amazing. And the same exact thing happens in us. But we have to, again, allow ourselves to be strengthened. When I met God in those broken places, I met God in my fear, that surrender to say, I want to be made new. It wasn't necessarily easy to get out of the hurt place. It's not necessarily easy to get out the hurt place. Especially when it's very easy to be a victim. I was a victim for a very, very long time. I was like, woe is me. Life is lifing, and life is only lifing to me, is not lifing to nobody else. Why is my life looking very much so raggedy and hurtful and not like everybody else? That comparison trap, I was stuck there. I was terrified of stepping out on faith because it was like, well, God, I want to manage my entire life. Like, what do you mean I need to pull away and um let you do it? The shirt that I'm wearing today says walk by faith. I've been trying to fix it up. So if you're watching, you can kind of see it, but it keeps doing what a shirt does, folding up. And anyways, I didn't know how to walk by faith. I didn't know how to walk by faith. What is that? What is that? God, in so many different people, and so many different sermons, and so many different scriptures, and so many different songs, so many different situations, God said, girl, you need to surrender to me and let me do it. Let me be God. When I said I had to let God be God, I had to open my hands up and say, I am done. I am done living a life that I cannot manage. If this is a dumpster fire, if the dumpster fire wants to burn everything down, why am I covered in gasoline trying to put it out? Come on, God. Come on. Come on. Be my fireman, please. But me, covered in gasoline, I really, 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 really wanted to put the fire out. And I had to really, really learn to let it go. And I'm still learning to let it go. But in learning to let it go and learning to really follow what God has called me to do and who God has called me to be, I've seen his fruit in so many places and in so many things. And I am so happy with my life now. I'm so proud of who God has allowed me to be. One of my biggest prayers has been to become a vessel. God, I don't want to be the soldier that's not chosen anymore, you know? Like that's it. I don't want to be the soldier that's not chosen. Choose me to go up and fight a battle that brings somebody else to you. That's what I want to do. I want to bring people to God. Choose me to live a life that is a reflection of your good and perfect will, right? We've been renewing me. I've been getting renewed, refined by the fire. That's a part of my burgeoning. Like that's it. I've been becoming a new person. If we're going to do that, Lord, for no clout to myself and all clout to you, let somebody else see this and make it great for them. And the glory of God has shone through. It has shone through. Each time I've opened up my mouth and I've told somebody, my friends, my family, strangers, I've been brought to so many different people. And it's like, might as well start this podcast. Might as well talk about it on the internet. And I started talking about God on the internet, on my TikTok. And people have been encouraging me there to keep going and keep talking about God there. So I'm like, okay, obedience is so much better than sacrifice, because when I'm obedient to God, God be coming through, and it's been praying. The prayer has been coming into fruition in just every way. The prayer has been coming into fruition, and I get to see the glory of God all around me and in the lives of others that are connected to me. And I am so happy with that. I am still learning that you have to walk out your faith every single day. On those days that it's hard, you still got to walk it out. You still got to walk it out. On those days that you have just a little bit, that's it. Give it to God, and He'll transform that little bit and make it a lot. I am still learning that I can't call something a failure that God is still in. I can't. There's moments that we have to stop putting energy into things, right? There are moments where we have to stop putting energy into things. And you'll know. You'll know when you feel stagnant and uncomfortable, or stagnant and uncomfortable, or even too comfortable and complacent. You'll know. You'll know when you're being called out of it. But just because my TikTok don't got 1 million views don't mean God ain't there and I need to give up on that. Just because your business didn't hit 1 million sales in this quarter don't mean you got to give up on that. No. God may still be working there, and we have to accept that. That's one of the biggest lessons I've learned since I've been on my burgeoning journey, is like, truly, you cannot give up in places that God is still working in. It's not up to us for that one. And I've learned this and relearned this so many times, but you can't pour from an empty cup, and you cannot be empty if you stay with God. I'm going to say that again. You cannot be empty if you stay with God. So if you continuously receive God, He'll continue to provide you the overflow. He'll continue to provide you a full cup, and then you'll be able to give only from your overflow. So I pray that all of this helps you with your overflow, and to just encourage you. This is Burgeoning, the podcast. It is a journey through my growth. It is a journey through the lessons that I'm learning along the way. It is a journey where I'll bring and have friends and guests that will share in their burgeoning journeys and share in the things that God has truly done for them to impact the world. I'm so glad that you've listened, and I hope that it is fruit for your lives. It is fruit to your overflow. Again, just a little sprinkle. I am your host, Leah J. I love you, but God loves you so much more.